With generative AI, we lack reliable automated verification of the output, which really diminishes the productivity benefits. Benchmarks and leaderboards are useful for broad based comparisons of models, but unfortunately are not very informative for any single question or instruction you send to your model, which individually could be quite different than the benchmark data as a whole. What's needed is an expert's second opinion that is interpretable and reliable to guide not only your own workflow, but also that of the AI models themselves. Today, we're introducing a fundamentally new AI concept to address this: reasoning with adaptive similarity distance magnitude verification, or simply SDM verification. And we're making this new capability available for developers as an open source model context protocol MCP server for macOS, with more platforms coming soon. Let's get right into it with Claude Desktop. I've enabled the 8 Reexpress tools. Let's start with a simple question with a clear answer. What is the derivative of natural log of x? Claude is constructing an answer, and then we'll send the question and the output to the Reexpress tool. Behind the scenes, Reexpress is ensembling multiple additional LLMs against Claude's output, and then it will process the results on device, constructing a robust verification estimate using an updatable database of examples stored locally on your Mac. We see that Reexpress has successfully verified Claude's answer with a probability of 99%, which is the max display probability. Importantly, that verification estimate is not itself a black box. We can ask the Reexpress View tool to provide us the details on how it was calculated. We see, for example, that the prediction is in the 99th distance quantile, which means it's very close to the observed training data. We see that the conservative lower bound probability estimate is very high at 99.98%, and that the effective sample size is very large at over 40,000. So, in summary, the estimator is very confident in the answer. Now, with a question like this, we typically ultimately seek to send it to a computer algebra system, but we need some mechanism to reliably route to such tools, and that's why SCM verification is critical, both for your own use of AI and to inform the decision making process of Claude and other models themselves in building such complex pipelines. Next, let's look how this fits into your existing AI software dev setup. Let's switch over to VS Code. Earlier, I asked Claude to create middleware for an MCP server that implements limits based on whether the tool call is from a user or an assistant. It created this file and proposed these at mcp.middleware decorators, and I thought that was interesting because I don't recall seeing that in the MCP docs. So before even trying to run this, let's continue the conversation and throw it to Reexpress. First, let's make sure the verification LMs can see the original file. We'll use a Reexpress file set tool to do this. I'm going to speed this along a bit, but as you see, when you first use the tools, you'll be asked to confirm their use. Okay, great. And by default, the file access will expire in 5 minutes. And let's just say, is the middleware tool a standard part of fast MCP? And then let's add our tool call prompt. Okay, so recall that Claude created this file. Now, even on the reask on its own, it's erring on the side of thinking that those decorators are a standard part of the MCP framework. And that's a general pattern with these models, that if you just reask the model, some would call it LLM as a judge. That's not going to be sufficient to guide the model, especially for more complex multi-turn pipelines. And that's where the re-express mechanism comes in. In this case, we see that Claude has now adjusted its answer to reflect that it hasn't properly checked the MCP documentation. And now let's just go ahead and run this in the terminal. And indeed, we see that it's not an existing attribute, but just something Claude had hallucinated. So let's look at one last thing. We can actually locally update the Reexpress estimator on the fly without any additional gradient steps or training, so it's very fast. Let's call the Reexpress add false tool, since Claude's original answer did not address our original question. And this is relative to the arguments of the Reexpress tool, not the updated response, which you can always just check in the dropdown in the tool call above. Great, so now we've updated our personal on-device database of examples. Updating in this way changes the similarity and distance quantile of future predictions, while the magnitude stays fixed. This is an effective balance between fast-moving and slow-moving components for an SDM estimator. The Reexpress tool will take this new label example into account for future calls as we continue to work on our codebase. So that's Reexpress MCP server. It's a reliable and robust AI second opinion that you can drop into your existing AI workflow or as a component to build new, complex AI agent pipelines.